Waxahachie ISD is a growing school district that embraces innovative curriculum and teaching methods while still honoring our traditions of excellence. Our academic programs and exceptional teachers and staff allow every student to excel on every campus, every day. Waxahachie ISD's fine arts, athletic, career and technical education, and other extracurricular programs are respected throughout the state for their long histories of success. We are proud to be a vital part of the city of Waxahachie as we work hard each day to educate the next generation of our city's leaders. We are Hatchie forever. Well tried.
Hi, welcome back to Becky's Kitchen. It's fall. It hasn't felt like fall, but it is. And pumpkins are out. And so the pumpkins are out of my house too. I love pumpkins. I love pumpkin bread, pumpkin cake. I don't like pumpkin pie, but that's okay. Anyway, pumpkins are really good for you. They are full of vitamins and minerals, and they're low calorie because they're 94% water. And you can make them in sweet or savory. We're going to do sweet today. But before we start with the cake, we're going to make something special to go in the cake. Several years ago, we went to a cooking school in the Dripping Springs area, and the lady that was running it just piled us all in a big van and drove us all over the hill country, and we just got to buy whatever we wanted for dinner. And it was goat cheese place, peaches. It was peach season. The flower place that gives all the flowers to HEB. It was just really neat. And when we got back, we just piled everything on the counter, and then we decided what we were cooking, and it was fun. And I said, I'll do peach cobbler. And she said, okay. And then we walked in her lovely pantry, and she had this jar, and it was called Baker's Sprinkles. And she said, that has every kind of spice in it you need. You can use that. So I did. And I kind of forgot about it until I saw this recipe, and it called for Baker's Sprinkles. Well, you know, I didn't know what that was, so I looked it up. And it is just a combination of spices, and we're going to make that today. Now, this is pumpkin pie spice, and when I looked at the ingredients, it was almost exactly what we're making here. It says cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, allspice, and sulfiting ingredients, whatever that is. So anyway, I just keep it in this little jar, and it keeps it for 6 months, and it's good for like any kind of breads, in pancakes, and a little bit on ice cream. Whipped cream is great. So that's what we're going to make first, because we have to have this to make the cake. And it's just spices. It's 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And I have some already made, but I'm just put some more in there. And let's do the cloves. 1½ teaspoons of ground cloves. I just use a half teaspoon, 3 half teaspoons. And you don't have to be exact on this. And 1½ teaspoons of allspice. I thought allspice was just a mix of herbs until I went to Jamaica and I saw the little allspice berries growing on the tree. So it is its own spice, but it smells like a mixture of everything. And a tablespoon of ground ginger. But oh, I forgot the nutmeg. Got to have that. I never buy ground nutmeg. I just do a little bit of grating. It's a tablespoon of ground nutmeg. I probably won't get a tablespoon out of this one, but still, it'll add to it. Now, the secret ingredient is a tablespoon of orange zest. Well, you can't buy that, but 2 days ago, I took an orange and I grated the zest, and I laid it out on a paper plate and let it just dry for 2 days, and I have it. And I'm telling you, this is what makes this Baker's Sprinkles better than that little thing of pumpkin pie spice. And it doesn't have any sulfiting, whatever it is. Okay, since I have a lid on my little thing, I'll just Pick it up. Okay, so now we have the spice for the cake. So let's get started on the cake. It has a lot of sugar, but then it's a cake, right? It has 2.5 cups of sugar. You put it in the mixing bowl, and then you put in 1 cup of canola or vegetable oil. So no butter, just that. So then we're going to take it over to the mixer, and we're just going to spin the thing around for a while until this is all combined before we add the rest. Flour, which I've already put in this bowl right here. And now we're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking soda. A 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. And 1 tablespoon of baker's sprinkles. So I just whisk it together. Okay, now 1 can of pumpkin puree, not pumpkin pie mix because that's got sugar in it. This is just pure pumpkin. And we're going to be putting it in the ingredients, 1/3 cup of the flour mixture, 1/3 of the pumpkin, 1/3 cup, like that, just mixing it in. And you won't have to mix it very long because when you're putting in the flour, you don't want to overmix because it will break down the gluten. Okay, so let's. Okay, I'll just mix that just enough that it starts to all blend. Okay. I can smell the spices. I can smell the pumpkin. I should put the eggs in there. I think that would be quite a disaster if it didn't have eggs. 3 eggs. I got a teaspoon of vanilla. Down. It's pretty thick. It's a thick batter. Right. I put it in a regular bundt pan, but I always use this spray that has flour in it, and I've never had any problem with cakes sticking. I'm just going to make sure I get all the loose flour. Okay, the hardest part for me is this heavy bowl. But luckily, the batter is pretty thick and it lets me move the pan a little bit. I can even it up later. It smells very spicy and pumpkin-y, like it's supposed to. And when we get through we're going to put a maple glaze on it, which is absolutely delicious. This cake, you know, it could be served for dessert, but also I think it's a great breakfast or coffee break. Okay. Now I'm going to get a spoon, just kind of smooth it out. And then, you know, you're supposed to hit it on the counter a few times, get the air bubbles out. And this will go in a 350-degree oven for, it says 60 minutes. I never bake it as long as it says, because you don't want to overbake a cake. I'd rather set it a little bit less and then check. So I put it in there for 55 minutes, and it was ready, and it wasn't, you know, like a Melba toast. So anyway, we'll put this in the oven and let it cook for that amount of time. Now while the cake is cooking, we're going to make the glaze. And the glaze, usually it's butter and powdered sugar. And this one is brown sugar and condensed sweetened milk. So that, I've never made a glaze like that before, but it's really, really good. You need a medium saucepan, a cup of brown sugar. Yeah, a cup of brown sugar. And I always like to, you know, pack it down. Make sure you get enough in there. A cup of brown sugar. And a can of sweetened condensed milk, which is really rich, and it makes the glaze very good and rich. So all we do now is we put it on a medium heat and bring it to a boil, and then you want to boil it for 5 minutes. And I've never had a recipe that said to cook the glaze that long either, so it thickens it up a little bit. First, I'll just get all mixed in. It's very stiff right now. It will thin up a little bit. But when you're cooking with sugar, you better follow the directions, because if you cook it too long, you could glue your teeth together. It goes through stages. Or if you don't cook it long enough, you know, it's too thin and it falls off the cake. So that's what we have to do. Make sure. And also, I noted if you get it too hot, it will burn on the bottom. You have to stir it until it starts boiling. And you can tell because the bubbles will come along the side, and then you know it's just about to boil. After we finish getting it cooked to the right consistency, we will put in the butter and the maple extract. I tried cooking it with just regular maple syrup, and I couldn't put enough in there, you know, to make that flavor come through. So the extract is the way to go. And it really makes a big difference. All right, we've got the glaze is thickened up, and I've turned off the heat. I'm going to remove it from the heat now. And I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of butter and a half a teaspoon of maple syrup extract. Stir that in, and we'll just let it sit. It has to be a little bit cooler than this to put on the cake, or it will just fall right off the cake. So while this is cooling, we'll make some little decorations for the cake. The cake is on the rack, is cooling, and we've got the glaze cooling. So in the meantime, I'm going to make some little decorations for serving the cake. And caramels. So I had to look really hard to find caramels. They were on the bottom shelf at the store. But the worst part was unwrapping each individual caramel. And I wondered, do you think that somebody stands in that factory and wraps each caramel? I don't know. But anyway, if it didn't unwrap easily, I ditched it. So I got a few that I was able to unwrap. And we're going to make these little acorns. They're cute. And it's caramel and a little mini Oreo. And the top is a butterscotch chip, but you could also use a peanut butter chip. And you glue it all together with dark chocolate icing. So that doesn't seem too hard. I think I can do that. So all you do after you unwrap the caramels, and I do remember that because my sister and I loved caramel apples so much. And so we'd buy that bag of caramels and we had to sit there and unwrap all the caramels before we could have the caramel apples. So nothing's changed. So I'm going to cut the sides off of this piece of caramel so it makes a little point on the end. Now, this is the acorn, but if you just kind of work with it, you can make it a little bit rounder. Roll it a little bit. Okay, then for each acorn, you need 1/2 of these little mini Oreos. Take out the middle part. And I'm sure somebody would volunteer to eat all the middle part that you take out if they want. Okay, now it said get a little baggie and put a hole in it and squeeze through. Well, I have these little ice cream spoons that you used to have at school, and that's what I am using to do mine. So we are going to glue 1/2 of that little cookie onto the top like this, and then you take a little chip and put more glue on the top of that, and you stick it on there. Now, it's an acorn, and it's easy. And you know, if you have kids, you could do the cutting, and then the kids could do the other part, or they'd probably love that. So this one needs a little shaping. Okay, so I'm back to glue the top. I just thought this would be, you know, a cute little thing to have on the plate with the cake. I don't know if anybody would eat them or not, but I don't see anything bad in them. Caramel, Oreos, and butterscotch chip. Sounds pretty good to me. Let's do one more. Well, we should do 2 more because you do 2 with one little tiny Oreo. Let's put that to the side. Shape it up a little bit. Glue. Chip. Let's do one more. One more. Okay. All ready for the cake. It has been cooling. It needs to be completely cool before you put the icing or the glaze on it. And the glaze had to be cooled down a little bit. And now I'm just going to take a spoon and I'm going to just kind of drizzle it all over the cake. It's really thick. And it's really good. I put a wax paper under the cake so if it starts dripping down, it will just go on that. It'll make it easier to clean up. This glaze tastes like caramel with a little maple. I guess I should. Not supposed to be perfect, so that's the beauty of bundt cakes. It will continue to drip down for a little while. So it's not ready to cut and eat yet. It's worth the wait. Okay, I think that's good. So now we just let it sit for probably 30 minutes or so, and then we can put it on a plate or a cake stand and be ready to eat it. The cake is ready to be served. So let's get at it. It's a beautiful cake. And let's put a few, just a little, how many? Maybe 2 acorns just to embellish it. And it is ready for whoever wants to eat it. Breakfast, dessert, snack. I'm going to eat it today. And I'm surely going to make sure that the bite I get has got the glaze. I cannot tell you how good this cake is. And that glaze is the caramel and the maple and then the spice mix, and I can taste that little bit of orange zest in there. It is really a good cake, and I recommend that you make it for sometime this fall. Well, that's another episode of Becky's Kitchen. Pumpkin spice pound cake with maple glaze, and I'll see you back here in a few weeks. Bye-bye.